And now finally, the only element we have left to set up is going to be the rays, and this is going to be a very similar approach to how we set up the lining. And I will in fact just copy our last lining effect, so LTG static, and I will rename this to simply rays. And let's go ahead and in the object let's import our rays. So let's go find them. Here we have them, volume rays. Let's copy this and let's drop this into a new geonode. RNDR rays. Let's do an object merge and place this here, and we will have to create a new material for this. So let's go up and let's create our material, so RS builder, and this will be rays. And for this I will want to use an RS volume node. And for the density, I want to use the scatter coefficient. I want to set this to 0 and absorption coefficient to 0, and I only want to use the emission channel. So I will set the channel here to be our density. And let's start with a scale of 10 and plug this into our volume input over here. Let's go ahead and assign this rays material to our node over here. And also let's grab this node now and go to our out, and for the rays we want to replace this RNDR static with our rays. So let's preview our render and see what we get, and let's set this to be rays. And let's maybe choose a different frame here, so maybe 46. So we can see that this is kind of working. Let's maybe choose an earlier frame. Let's maybe go with 32. Alright, so here we have our rays, and we can see that the GI is working as well. So if I go to, we will have to set up new passes actually. So let's stop this and let's go to our rays. Let's go to output and AOV manager, and we won't be needing this emission anymore. So this is looking for a geometry, but instead what we will do is let's hit this plus, and we will want to select the volume fog emission. So now this will look for an emission volume which we set actually over here in our material. So we can see that this emission tab, our volume emission will look for this tab and these settings over here. So let's go back to out, let's maybe render again, and let's take a look at some of our AOVs. So we will have our GI, which is the ground GI, and we will have the volume, which is the debris volume, and then we will have this fog emission, which is going to single out only our rays. So as far as our GI goes for the ground and the volume, if I go in my material and I increase this scale here, so maybe I make this 100, we can see now that we spread out the GI and we brighten the whole GI for the ground and also the volume as well. But a value of 10 should be just fine. And let's go back to our beauty, and we can also edit this ramp now. So let's maybe turn this off. Let's create a point here, which I will make maybe a blue, rather saturated, with just a hint of white in it. So maybe something like this, and maybe lower the value. And for the first handle I will also make this blue, but maybe add a little bit more white. And the result will be something like this, and if I press play, we should also have some color now. Alright, so this is looking good. And let's check our AOVs, so GI and the volume and the fog emission, and this will be perfect. So this will be our final render pass. Let's go in our out and to the common, and let's make sure that we are giving this a different name. So this will be rays.$f.exr. And we have prepared all of our nodes now. So now to render all of these, we can link all of these up if I just drop down the wire from one to the next node. Alright. And in order for this to work, we have to select all of these and go to the main and make sure that this non-blocking current frame rendering is set to off. So this is what will enable us to render all of this in order. So if I go to my last node here, which is the rays, and when I will hit render, it will first render a frame for the ground, and then one for the smoke, then one for the pop and LDG and all of these, and finally the ray, and then it will move to frame 2. and then it will do all of this all again. So start with the ground, pop, and so on, up until we finish all of these, so we render the entire duration of 200. So let's select the rays. I will hit render, and then we will move over to the nuke section.